Have you ever struggled to figure out what the story of the whole Bible is all about? I mean, there's so much there. There's thousands of verses and hundreds of books and, well, actually that's not true. There's not hundreds of books, but there's lots of books and it feels so overwhelming. And it seems to be like this collection, this mishmash of stories. And maybe if you haven't been in church or a part of church for quite a long time, you just have these kind of vague recollections of like Noah and maybe this guy named Abraham and perhaps David and then Jesus. And how does this all fit together? It was written over thousands of years and it encompasses a whole bunch of different history and different people in different time frames. And they seem to have this story, or at least people have said that there's this one story kind of overarching the whole, but where do you kind of start and how do you get through these pieces? Well, today I want to kind of start this series, and I don't know how long it'll continue or what that'll look like, but I want to just briefly look at one key verse in every book of the Bible as we move along to kind of highlight how the story is all connected. Today we'll start in Genesis. It's the first book of the Bible and it tells of the Genesis, or the beginning of kind of God's story and his interactions with the people. It encompasses an amazing amount of history, all the way from the very, very beginning in this poetic description of God creating the world, of first forming and separating a world and all of the spaces and then filling it with all kinds of stuff, and then how we messed that up as humanity in the people of Adam and Eve, and then how God continued to work through this. And then he called one particular person, and this one particular person, Abraham, decided to follow God. And there's one particular verse. It's Genesis chapter 15, verse 6. And it says, "He," that is Abraham, "believed the Lord, and he," that is God, "counted it to him as righteousness." And this is so important because right in this one key verse, we see how God's interaction with us as his people becomes connected. So we are not considered righteous or good or right with God by making all kinds of great big sacrifices or by doing all of the right kinds of things. I mean, the Ten Commandments weren't even given to the people yet, and yet Abraham was considered righteous. It's not by following rules or by doing something great for the world or by, balancing more good than bad in our lives, right? This isn't about karma. It's about trusting God. Trusting that the things God has said and called us to are what's best, even if they might be difficult. And this verse sets out that for the entirety of the rest of the Bible. And in the Newer Testament, you hear this in Hebrews and in Paul, that this is the way that God interacts with us. He wants us to have faith in him, or he wants us to trust in him, and he wants our lives to give evidence of that. He wants us to live as if we trust him. And you start to see that in Abraham and then in some of his descendants. And the end of Genesis leaves us with his descendants in Egypt as this great and mighty people that are second in command to only Pharaoh himself, as God has raised Joseph up as one of the descendants to be a leader in there. Always remembering that the key part of this is how they interact with God himself. And that's the key thing for us too. So I hope this is helpful for you as you think about what Genesis might mean and how it connects to the rest of the world, or to the rest of the Bible.